r/AskReddit. What's the one Reddit post that you will never forget? By Pixels. An AskReddit thread that asked, if you could have sex with anyone in the world right now, who would it be? The top comment was a guy who wished he could sleep with his wife who had died of cancer. The first reply was, I also choose this guy's dead wife. Just a couple of months ago, a woman posted looking for a particular, discontinued, Tonka toy truck for her developmentally disabled adult brother. So many Redditors came through out of their own pockets finding and shipping these toys to her for her brother. Some Redditors even got the parent company for Tonka to make a special version for the brother. It was an awesome display of how amazing Redditors can be. Makes me tear up just thinking about it. The cop who said he had to arrest a guy for stealing thousands of dollars from his company to pay for his daughter's medical bills, since she had a life-threatening illness. I'll never forget the top response. Was he made of sand? The post where some guy revealed that he'd been sitting on the rim to hit his entire life because he thought toilet seats were meant for women. I had to teach my college roommates to not do that. I potty trained a ducking 22-year-old man. There was a guy who worked at a shipping dock in China and he was a supervisor. Every time a crate was unloaded off the boat it had to be evaluated by someone and then radioed back to him. The guy who was doing the checking didn't radio back, so OP sent another guy to check what the holdup is. Guy goes over, then his radio goes dark. So the OP does an emergency shutdown of the factory, goes over himself and looks over from afar and sees the two guys dead on the ground. Apparently heavier than air inert gases were leaking from one of the crates and immediately suffocated the two guys. It's one of those instances where reality can be just as terrifying as a horror movie. The guy who thought it was funny that he peed on his girlfriend's pregnancy test, and that he turned out to be pregnant. As an astute Redditor, it actually turned out that he had testicular cancer. In a follow-up post, he got checked out, had a small tumor and, as it was very early stages, had it treated immediately. From an FU comic to cancer-saving treatment. Now that's a post I won't forget. The dude that tried throwing a steak that his wife's boss cooked out a window. Window was closed. Someone made an AskReddit, and they had clearly been pushed to the limit with a grasshopper that had gotten behind some cabinets and wouldn't shut up. At my house, we were having the exact same situation, so I laughed and thought I'd look at the comments to see a solution that I could also use. Someone had responded with something along the lines of, it's really easy, you just need to get a bowl on the ground, 1/3 water and 1/3 maple syrup or something sticky, and just leaves it. The follow-up comment was, what is other third? Yeah. My wife and I got a case of the giggles at that and I legitimately laughed on and off for 30 minutes and couldn't contain myself. To this day, whenever my wife is helping me with ingredients I shoot off what's the other third, air and it begins again. To two guy who posted a picture of his wrist tattoos, then a picture on how he took that, then one of how he took that, etc. The sex spreadsheet one. A woman wrote a post about how her husband made a spreadsheet documenting all the time she refused to have sex with him. The story made the national news. That's how I found Reddit. The guy who sold his house but continued living in a secret bunker underneath it. It was an life pro tip about the 6-second rule. If you don't want to do something, count to 6 then do it. Completely changes a man. Yeah, but you can just count to 6 and then not do the thing. I tried this and to be honest I didn't even want to count to 6. The one where someone was having a mental health episode and posted that doctors planted a tracker in his arm. As a result, he hadn't left the house and had run out of food days before. The whole damn thread gently coaxed him into going to the emergency room. Wow, I'm surprised at how friendly the posters were towards him. There was a response to a post, I think it was an Mullard meme, about getting out of someone's way when they are speeding. You are not the police and you should just worry about yourself and let them get their ticket. Someone gave a story about a buddy of theirs that died because of that. They were on a crew, chopping down trees when the buddy got horribly injured by the chainsaw. They were too far away from civilization to wait for the ambulance, so they stayed on the phone with the emergency line and sped out onto the highway to meet emergency medical services halfway. Except Summit wouldn't just let them pass, so for 10-15 miles, they were stuck behind her. honking and yelling while she just stayed right in front of them and slowed them down by at least 10 minutes. They ultimately passed her and threw a bloody shirt at her car, so she followed them until they met up with police and emergency medical services. Thinking she was going to be the savior of the day, she tries to tell the cops what they did, but ends up getting cited, or arrested, for trying to police their speed. In the meantime, the buddy gets loaded into the ambulance and taken to the hospital, but ends up dying 5 to 10 minutes out from the hospital. The guy telling the story wasn't 100% sure that his friend would have survived had he made it, but he would have had a better chance, and they lost that chance because some bitch tried to make them slow down instead of just minding her business, getting out of the way for 30 seconds, and going on with her day. Ever since I read that, I always get out of the way of a speeding car as soon as I safely can. If there's an emergency, I won't be the one to hold them up. If there's not, then they are welcome to go get their ticket even faster. The one where a girl wanted to see someone duck a giant gummy bear and then one guy uploaded his video, not safe for work, is obvious. Oh, look, my past continues to haunt me. The one about the kid who went to dinner with his girlfriend's parents, tried to be funny and pretended he hadn't ever heard of a potato. Her father then got really pissed off and I believe he kicked him out of the house. The one about the guy where he thought his dog had a huge stick on her and tried to pull it off with tweezers, and his dog was whining and seemed to be in a lot of pain. Turned out it was her nipple the whole time. My favorite one is probably the guy who posted in Today I Ducked Up about his adopted son, who he had raised with heavy influence from his native Chinese culture. Visits to China and regular Chinese lessons and everything. Turns out the kid was actually Korean. The 8-day-week exercise routine. There was this one guy who posted a comment on an AskReddit thread that told a story about how he ate Taco Bell and got the sits, and he was in a parking garage, and he shat and his sit ran down the stairs and onto multiple innocent civilians, and it was on the news that night. The Today I Ducked Up about the guy that gets high on mushrooms while his wife is asleep, and ends up almost crying because he loses track of how many cats he has. I laugh every time I read it. The one where the girl accidentally set her language to Spanish, so everyone just replied in Spanish to duck with her. My favorite Reddit story of all time. The poster's friend was apparently pretty vanilla, but his girlfriend liked some dirty talk. The best he could come up with was, "Yay, you like that, you ducking retard." The woman who posted about loving her husband so much, she stayed with him even after realizing she wasn't bisexual, but a lesbian. Her husband helped her realize it, pointing out that she only looked at / commented about women when they were out together. But he was her best friend and they had made a family together and she chose to stay where she was happy. From what I remember, they still had a sex life and he did his best to make her happy in the bedroom. I just thought the idea of such a love as that was really beautiful. A love so profound that it defies all barriers, including sexual orientation. Shower thought, I don't care if I wear the same clothes 2 days in a row. I care what other people will think when I wear the same clothes 2 days in a row. It's so true. The wife crying at gay geese. You mean the swans? It's just the one swan, actually. There was a post of a guy who lamented that his butt looked like a girl's. People asked for a picture. And he posts. And it's a damn fine butt. Lots of reports of confused boners. Then other hot college jocks started to post pictures of their bare butts as well. As a gay guy, this was glorious. Wish I bookmarked it. Can't find it. The surgeon that said they see worms in a lot of patients during surgery, and they don't do anything about it. They just stitch him up, and never say anything. I wish I never knew. Someone posted in the parenting sub one day about letting her 9-year-old son watch 30 minutes of porn a day. She was looking for validation. She described what kind of porn he liked, and how she encouraged it. She deleted it shortly after, but I was left so disturbed that I still think about that poor kid and what his mom allowed him to be exposed to at such a young age. It was probably one of the most disturbing things I've read on here. There was a recent post asking why people engaged in grass eating, and the top reply was something about because doing it causes the wife to make sounds like a retarded llama. There was more to it, but I haven't laughed as hard as I have in all my years of reading Reddit. I really wish I could find it again. What are some Reddit posts you'll never forget? Post it in the comments below. Thank you for watching.